Hello, in this video I'm going to discuss a technique I use to increase the detail, to sharpen an image and bring out more detail in an image. It can work on galaxies and nebula, but obviously galaxies, it really kind of brings out detail in these spiral arms and these H2 regions. So I have an image of the antenna galaxy. Got this data from the Telescope Live one-click data set. I've combined the L and the RGB, and I've got this LRGB image, and I want to enhance the detail here in the middle of this galaxy. So to do that, you create a copy. So you're going to click on this background over here on the right, click and hold and drag it down to this create new layer icon down at the bottom. So you click and hold, drag it down till it highlights, and then release, and you have a background copy. Next, I'm going to come up to Filter, Other, High Pass. And I usually start with about 4. I'll try 3 or 4. I'm going to go 3.5 on this one. I usually somewhere in the neighborhood of 4. So 3 to 5, somewhere in there. Really works on the fine detail a lot. And you click OK. Then you come up to Filter, Noise, Reduce Noise. And I just take the defaults here and click OK. And once that is done, I change the blending mode down here from normal, click on it, and go to linear light. Now if you look at this and just click this off and on, you can see the detail that was brought out in the galaxy. Look at these H2 regions, some of these spiral arms. If you look at that, it really brings out the detail. But as you may be noticing, it does a number kind of on the background and on the stars. But it does a really good job there in the galaxy. So the first thing I do is I back this off somewhere between 30 and 50%, just depending on the galaxy. Make this one 50, and that holds up pretty well. If I zoom in, you can see I haven't introduced a lot of noise there in the galaxy, but it's really enhanced the detail. Maybe go up to 75% and blink that. That's somewhere in there. Maybe we'll split the difference. We'll call it 60% and go with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll show you what I do with Nebula, because you can see the stars are just way over sharpened. In this, you can tell the background also has noise introduced to it when I do this. So what I do is I have a star mask, and I've already created that. There's another video that I did on creating star masks, but I go down to Select, Load Selection, and I click on Stars, which is my star mask, and click OK. I then come over to Layer, Layer Mask, Hide Selection. Now you can see by blinking, the stars are not wiped out like they were before. You still have the background issue, but the stars are not over sharpened like they were. Now sometimes what I'll do to make sure that I get all of the stars, I'll come down to Mask and Options. That's not what I wanted. I'll come down to Select and Mask, I'm sorry. And I do this Shift Edge and just really grow and bloat those stars. Maybe do a little feathering. Click OK. Now if you look, the stars don't change at all. You've really covered them. So that's what I would do with a nebula, just to take care of the stars, and then I would flatten the image. Now for this one, since the background is also has a lot of noise in it, and the galaxy does not. What I would do is I would tend, in this case, just to create a layer mask. So you go down to this background copy. Make sure you highlight background copy here. Hold down the Alt key and click this little camera icon, and it creates a layer mask. I then come over to the brush icon, the paintbrush tool. I make sure down here that by clicking these arrows you can change the color from black to white. I want white. To increase the size here of the brush, you use the open bracket and close bracket key on your keyboard. So open bracket makes it smaller and close bracket makes it larger. So I want to make this one a bit larger, maybe about there, and then I'm going to click and hold and color just the galaxy here. Like that. And if you look at this and blink it, you can see that you've got a lot of nice detail that pops out in these dust lanes and H2 regions. I will then come over and highlight the mask. Then I right click and do, one other thing that I do for galaxies, when I paint over like this, I changed my brush color to black, and I will go through and lower the size of my paintbrush again by open bracket. And some of these stars in the galaxy I'll just go in and paint over with black, because they were, again, they're stars and they're just over sharpened, maybe even some of these H2 regions. So anything that looks like it just got a little bit too over sharpened. And in galaxies you'll have foreground stars that when you paint like this with a broad brush, they're going to look like the other stars did. So I just go through and change the color over here to black and just paint over those so that they're not quite as over sharpened. Then I come over to here and highlight the mask, left click in the mask, then I right click and do select and mask. And here you can see the black parts where I blocked out stars, and then I just feather this to taste, click OK. And if I do this, hopefully you're seeing this on the video, but I think that has brought out a lot more detail. There's not a lot of noise in here, maybe over here in these faint parts, but even there it's not too bad. But that's the process that I use to increase the detail and the sharpening in my images. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot.